Because sometimes those moments of being courageous in one area of our life can spark courage in other areas of our lives. Confidence is the byproduct of action. We don't get more confident doing something if we never start, if we never try. So I came back from that trip, and it was a Thursday night in February, and the gospel choir on campus was letting out of rehearsal. And you might wonder, like, wait a second, what happened? I thought we don't sing in front of people. Oh, don't worry, we don't. Because you don't have to audition to get into the gospel choir. Anybody can get in. So it's like the best of both worlds. I got to do the thing that I loved. My voice blends in with 60 other people. I'm never going to embarrass myself. This is the best. This is great. But if you wanted a solo in the spring concert, you had to audition. So I waited till everybody left that chapel. And I went up to the director, Eric, and I was shaking, and I was nervous, and I said, Eric, I think I want to try out for a solo. And he sat down at the piano, and he sent me out into the center of the church, and I looked out over these rows of dozens of pews, again to an audience of no one. And I closed my eyes. This morning when I rose, yeah, I didn't have no doubt. This morning when I rose, yeah, I didn't have no doubt. This morning when I rose, yeah, I didn't have no doubt. This morning when I rose, yeah, I didn't have no doubt. I got the solo. And my 9-year-old self had her Mariah Carey moment. It was amazing, right? Like, oh my gosh, we got to do the thing we always wanted to do. So when you think about your life, like, what would you do if you didn't have no doubt? Every single person in this room is holding yourself back in some way. For some of you, it's in a big way. For some of you, it's in a small way. For some of you, it's professionally. For some, it's personally, physically, relationally, mentally. But all of us let doubt show up more than it should. If you didn't have no doubt, what would you do? How would you live your life differently? What would become possible for you that is not possible now? I felt the aliveness and the joy and the boldness of that moment, of that audition. But to be honest with you, for the next 18 years, I didn't do much of anything with music. And then the pandemic hit. And 6 weeks after the lockdown started, I was out on a run with my husband, and I didn't see it coming when a Chevy Silverado pickup truck took a right-hand turn at a red light directly into me. I was rushed to the hospital where I was told I had a compression fracture in my back. This is not the news that I wanted in a year that was already a complete dumpster fire, if we're being honest. It was the most terrifying day of my life. And I went through grief and pain and frustration and anger over the next couple months and years. And I needed an outlet. We all needed outlets. And I thought back to that little girl sitting in that room, singing her heart out to an audience of no one. And I realized I wanted to reconnect with her. And so I found a guy that I went to church with, and he had just started a music production company, just graduated college. And I told him I wanted to meet up with him. I had no plan whatsoever, by the way, because I don't read music or play any instruments or have any training in music composition or songwriting or anything like that. I'd done a few years of voice lessons. But I met up with him. I walked into the makeshift studio in his basement. And I'm there to record covers, other people's songs. And he looks at me and he goes, "What do you want to write your first song about?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't think you understand. Like, I'm not qualified to do that." I don't know how to do that. And he looked at me and he pushed back, and I said, okay, if I were going to write a song, I would write a song about being somebody. Being somebody who matters, because all of us struggle sometimes to feel like we are somebody who matters and that we're enough. And I had just watched a documentary the night before called Bully that brought that to mind for me. And it's like, that's what I want to write about. And so for the next 5 months, we got together twice a month. And we worked on a song. And on January 26, 2023, at 12:01 a.m., I opened up my phone and I searched my name in Spotify for the first time, something I never thought I would do. This was the most joyful, like one of the top 3 most joyful moments of my entire life. And it happened because I gave myself permission to be unmuted. And all of you have the ability to do this, to step out of that sepia tone world that you're living in and live a life of courage and boldness.